Hi, welcome to Toon Table. I'm Shela, this is Nathan, and we're here to teach you how to play Star Wars Outer Rim.
Designed by Cory, Konieczka and Fanchi, and distributed by Fantasy Flight Games, Outer Rim is a 1 to 4 player board game where you play as Star Wars' most famous smugglers and bounty hunters, as they traverse the galaxy, doing jobs and collecting bounties in order to become the most famous person in the
Non-wizard.
most famous non-wizard in the galaxy. This game also has a 1-player variation, but for this video we're only going to go over the 2 to 4 player rules.
Let's get started.
Your main goal in Outer Rim is to acquire fame points. The first player to reach a total of 10 fame wins the game.
This is a race to become famous, so there are many different ways to gain fame. These include completing goals listed on character or ship cards, completing bounties and jobs, delivering illegal cargo, winning combats against level 2 and 3 patrols, and purchasing and using certain cards from the luxury market deck. Because you have so many options, every player's path to victory will look different based on their character and the choices they make throughout the game.
After setting up the game, each player should grab one of the beautifully designed player boards and place the plastic fame marker in the 0 slot on the fame track. Then they should grab 4 reputation tokens, 1 for each faction, and place them in the corresponding slot on their player board in the center of the track. Each player should roll all 6 dice. Whoever rolls the most hits or crits will be the first player.
Alternatively, the starting player could be the most recent person to have committed a crime or smuggled something. This is not recommended for anyone playing with or nearby law enforcement officers.
Once the first player is decided, that person can then choose their character from the pile of interesting and complex space scoundrels.
And also Boba Fett.
On every character sheet, there are 2 stat values and a list of skills. The ground combat value helps your character better deal with ground combat encounters, finish specific jobs, and most importantly, collect bounties. Your character's health represents how much damage they can take before they are defeated and have to rest for a turn. If a character is defeated, they lose 3,000 credits, and any secret encounter cards they've collected.
Not dying is generally a good financial decision.
The skills listed at the bottom indicate your character's proficiencies. Being proficient in certain skills helps your character complete jobs and deal with different encounters.
Each character also comes with a specific ability and a goal. This ability helps characters excel at certain tasks in the game, like flying faster or re-rolling dice. The personal goal for each character is an objective that, when accomplished, not only gives you fame, but also lets you flip your character card over to have access to a super special secondary ability. When you complete a personal goal, it immediately flips the card over, and you collect the fame points listed.
When choosing your character, you want to consider what type of game you would like to play. Some characters are better suited for completing jobs or delivering cargo, while other characters are more combat-focused and better at collecting bounties. You'll probably do all of these over the course of the game, but you should keep in mind which type of tasks you prefer and pick the character that will best let you play that type of game. After you choose your character, simply place them into the character slot on your player board, with the personal goal side facing up.
Next, the cool part of Star Wars, the spaceships. Each player gets to choose between one of 2 starting ships. Neither ship has any special abilities and are only slightly different in their stats. The hyperdrive value indicates how many spaces you can move every turn. The higher the value, the further the ship can go. The ship's combat value helps you better fight space patrols and deal with hostile encounters. Finally, the ship's hull value is the health of the ship. Like your character's health value, if this goes to 0, you are defeated. When you choose which ship you want, or which one better matches the kind of game you want to play, simply flip that side up and place it in the ship slot of your player board.
After everyone chooses a character, refer to the bottom of that character's card to determine which databank number that player will draw from the deck. When you draw your databank card, it will give you further instructions on where to place your character on the board and a job or bounty to do. Some characters have a setup reputation listed on their cards. If that is the case, simply move your reputation token of the corresponding faction up or down, depending on what your reputation is. Once every character is placed, distribute starting credits based on turn order, flip the top card on each market deck face up, and begin the game. Starting with the first player and proceeding clockwise, players take their turns in 3 steps. During step 1, the planning step, you may take any one of 3 different actions. You may move, recover all damage, or gain 2,000 credits. When moving, you may move a number up to your ship's hyperdrive value. You may move from one space to another so long as those spaces are connected by a pathway. If the space you are moving to contains a maelstrom or a patrol for a faction you do not have a positive reputation with, your movement is interrupted and you must immediately end your movement on that space. If you have a positive reputation with the faction's patrol, you don't need to stop.
If you choose to recover all of your damage instead, simply remove any damage from your character and your ship. If you are defeated in the last round, you must spend this step recovering all damage. You can't go anywhere if your ship is broken, or if you're near dead in a ditch somewhere on Nalhutta.
Finally, if you decide to collect 2,000 credits, simply take them from the credit pile. Step 2 is the action step. During this step, you may perform any and all actions once. You may trade with another player, perform a market action, deliver cargo or bounties, or resolve an action ability on a card.
If you are on the same space as another player, you may trade any number of cards with that player. These cards can include bounties, jobs, gear, mods, cargo, or crew, all of which will be explained in a few minutes. These trades do not need to be equal in value, but both players must agree with the trade in order for it to happen. Unless you're IG-88 and are stealing someone's droid.
The market action actually happens in 2 steps and can only be done when you're on a planet. When you perform the market action, you may do one or both of the following steps. First, you may choose to discard the top card of any one deck in the marketplace, then reveal the next card. Regardless of whether you did the first step, you may buy one of the top cards on one of the decks. The cost will be listed in the top right corner of the card. After you purchase this card, you may place it in the appropriate spot on your player board or ship. If no appropriate spaces are available, you may replace any cards you have with the one you are purchasing. You may also barter off any cargo, gear, or mods to reduce the cost of the card you're buying. Simply subtract the cost of the item you're selling from the item you're buying. Once you buy the new item, you may place the card you sold at the bottom of its corresponding deck. When buying a ship, you can only barter using your current ship. There are 6 types of market decks. The bounty deck has different bounties that you can take up and collect on. These require you to hunt down and capture or kill a specific character. Most of these cards will require searching the contact spaces for your bounty, but some cards also involve attacking another player. The cargo deck consists of items which can be delivered to certain planets to gain credits and sometimes fame. The gear and mod deck is filled with upgrades for your ship or character. Mod upgrades can be placed on your ship to improve its combat value, hull, or hyperdrive. Gear upgrades can be used to upgrade your character for jobs or combat. The job deck contains different tasks you can complete to gain fame. It also contains some crew members who may have beneficial skills. The luxury deck consists of items and crew that cost a lot but give you the ability to gain fame.
Remember, the goal is to get to 10 fame. These cards give you more opportunities to do that.
Finally, the ship deck is filled with different ships you can purchase to help you better complete jobs, collect bounties, and deliver cargo.
Ships are a major and cool part of the game. Each one available for purchase beyond the starting ships comes with a specific goal and a super special ability that it gets when you accomplish its goal. When you make the purchase, replace your current ship with a new one with the goal side face up. When you accomplish a ship's goal, you gain the fame points listed and flip the card to its other side, which displays its ability. You can only finish the ship's goal after you buy it. When purchasing a ship, you may use the cost of your current ship to reduce the cost of the one you're buying, like any trade-in at your local space dealership.
After you purchase a card, it is placed into one of the slots on your player board or ship. Then flip the next card in the deck you purchased it from. If the card flipped has a faction symbol and a number, move the current patrol of that faction the indicated number of spaces toward the current player's ship. The patrol must always take the shortest path towards the player. However, if there are multiple pathways of equal distance to the player, that player decides which path the patrol takes. If the patrol ship ever occupies the same space as the player, it immediately ends its movement.
The last type of action you can take during this step is the deliver action. This is how you deliver bounties and cargo to their destinations to collect their rewards. Some cargo has the illegal trait on it. This type of cargo usually requires players to roll dice in order to deliver it. If they fail to make the dice roll listed on the card, they must resolve Databank Card 1.
The last step of a round is the encounter step. During this step, you must choose one of the following options: encounter patrol, encounter a contact, encounter your space, or resolve an encounter ability. If there is a patrol in your space with which you have a negative reputation, you must encounter that patrol. If you have neutral or positive reputation with the patrol's faction, then you do not need to do this encounter.
In other words, you only need to have a space fight if they already don't like you, but you may choose to shoot them anyway. Like a jerk. Performing this encounter is simply resolving a space combat with that patrol, which will be explained in more detail in the combat section. If you fail to defeat the patrol, move the patrol one space in any direction. If you successfully win the combat against the patrol, it is destroyed and you lose 1 reputation with the patrol's faction, because nobody likes it when you blow up their friend. Remove the patrol token from the board and collect any rewards listed on it. Then, after you've done this, draw a new patrol from the top of the corresponding faction stack, and place that patrol in the starting spot adjacent to the faction.
When encountering a contact, You choose between one of the contacts available at the planet you are currently on. At the start of the game, all the contact tokens are face down. When a player chooses to encounter a contact, that token is flipped face up and the player resolves the databank card that matches the number printed on it. Some characters require you to fight them or complete a task that depends on your skills or reputation. These encounters can have a variety of results, and you can even recruit some characters to your crew afterwards. If you are able to recruit someone, that character is added to your crew slot on your player board. Crew members help you accomplish tasks or give you advantages in combat depending on their abilities. Like any good smuggler, you always need a trusty crew along. If you are not able to recruit the contact and the databank card doesn't say to remove the token from the board, the character remains face up for other players to encounter later.
You'll want to encounter contacts often if you are trying to complete a bounty, which requires you to search for a specific character. If you have a bounty on the contact you reveal, or if you have a bounty on a contact already revealed on the planet, you may choose to encounter that contact using your bounty card instead. When you do this, you resolve a combat based on the rules listed on the specific bounty card. If you win, you can choose to eliminate the character for an immediate reward, or you can capture the bounty to bring them to the planet listed on the card and deliver them for a higher reward. When you capture a bounty, you place their token on the bounty card to indicate that you've captured them. Once a bounty is eliminated or delivered, the token and card are discarded from the game and you gain any rewards listed on the card.
You can also choose to encounter your space, drawing the top card from the appropriate encounter deck and resolving the section that corresponds with your space. Different planets have different types of encounters. The back of the encounter cards lists what types of encounters each planet has. Some planets also have faction symbols on them that indicate faction support. Encounters at these planets will be more likely to affect or be affected by your reputation with those factions. If you're on a nav point instead of a planet, draw from the nav point encounter deck and resolve the appropriate side. Nav point encounters vary depending on whether there is a patrol in the space as well.
Sometimes encounter cards will be labeled as secret. This means that you should read the card to yourself, not aloud, and keep it hidden from the other players. These cards will give you secret goals to accomplish that may give you fame or money. These do not take up any slots on your player board, so there is no limit. You can have as many secrets as you want.
The last type of encounter is a card encounter. Sometimes you will have cards, such as jobs or bounties, that will have an encounter on them. When resolving this type of encounter, simply follow the rules listed on the card and draw any databank cards that it lists. Some jobs involve combat encounters or encounters that hurt your health or hull. If you are defeated during these encounters, the job automatically fails. A lot of encounters, such as jobs, planet encounters, or contact encounters, require you to make skill checks in order to accomplish them. Skill checks rely on certain skills listed, such as strength, stealth, tech, influence, knowledge, and piloting. Even if you do not have the skill required, you may still perform a skill check. Your skill level is calculated based on your character card, any crew or equipment that have skills, and any abilities that may help you gain a skill. There are 3 levels of proficiency. Unskilled. You do not have the skill being checked. Skilled. You have the skill being checked either listed on a card or through an ability. Highly skilled. You have the skill being checked listed more than once. No matter your skill level, you only roll 2 dice for each skill check. If you are unskilled, you need to roll a crit to pass the check. If you are skilled, you can pass with either a crit or a hit, and if you are highly skilled, you can pass with a crit, hit, or focus. The results of passing or failing a skill check will be listed on the card. Simply follow the instructions to resolve the check. If you fail to complete the job or bounty, you keep that card and may try again in the future.
Any kind of combat is resolved by both sides rolling dice. Whenever you fight a patrol, contact, or card encounter, have another player roll the dice for your opponent. In the rare instances of player versus player combat, both players roll their own dice. The number of dice you roll is determined by your ship's combat value and mods for space combat, and your character's combat value and gear for ground combat. There are also crew members that can assist in either type of combat. Both sides roll all their dice at once. Every hit is worth 1 success, and every crit is worth 2 successes. Eyeballs do not give you successes, but they may be used for certain card abilities. After the dice are rolled, you take damage equal to the number of successes rolled by your opponent. In space combat, this damage is dealt to your ship's hull, and in ground combat, it's dealt to your character's health. If either of these values hit 0, your character is automatically defeated and all combat ends. It's pretty hard to keep fighting if your ship is blown up or you have a hole in your chest. If you survived the combat and you rolled more successes than your opponent, you win! If you win the encounter, you've accomplished the task you wanted to do. This can include finishing a section of a job, capturing or killing a bounty, or destroying a patrol.
You can always trade credits with other players regardless of whether or not you are in the same space. You are allowed to trade credits or items for future promises, such as helping someone defeat a patrol or giving them a cut of your reward for a later job. If you're negotiating a direct transaction, the deal must be completed as agreed upon by both players. However, if the trade cannot be completed immediately, the deal is non-binding, meaning there is no obligation in the game to keep your promise if you can't do so right away. Any action that takes place at a later phase or moment is considered a future action. Remember that you're dealing with scoundrels and bounty hunters, so trust fellow players at your own risk.
Sometimes there are bounties on crew members. If the bounty is on your own crew, you may choose to encounter them during your encounter step to collect the bounty. Follow the rules on the bounty card, and note that you do not gain any of that crew member's abilities for this encounter. You are betraying them after all. If you succeed, discard the crew card and either capture or eliminate the crew token. If you fail to capture your own crew, the crew member escapes to the nearest available planet with an open contact spot. The crew card is returned to the databank deck until encountered again. If the bounty is on another player's crew member, the other player may choose to defend them or surrender them to you. If they choose to stand by their crew, you fight a combat against the other player, a ground combat if you're on a planet, or a space combat if you're on a nav point or the maelstrom. If they surrender their crew, you follow the instructions on the bounty card. If you win the combat, discard the crew card and either capture or eliminate the contact token. If you lose the encounter, the crew remains with the other player.
Finally, the databank deck contains multiples of certain numbers. Cards with multiples will be indicated with a number of icons saying how many of that card are in the deck. When drawing one of these cards, choose one randomly and resolve that card. The databank deck should remain in numerical order at all times. And that's how you play Outer Rim. This game is elegantly designed and comes with a gorgeous player aid that helps players keep track of their turns and important information. There's also an excellent rules reference for any specific questions you may have, and common questions are answered at the back of the book.
If you enjoyed this video, please feel free to like and subscribe to Toon Table, and also be sure to ring that bell to be notified when the next rules explanation is posted. Thanks for watching and have fun gaming, Toons! From a galaxy far, far away, this has been Nathan and Shela, over and out.